That's a legit business where you
Yeah.
have the ability to advertise your property and people see it, click on it, go to your website and book it. You have complete control over that ecosystem. It's
Yep. Yeah.
fantastic.
So I mean, what we essentially tripled our monthly revenue on the
Mhm.
naturist. We doubled it at the stoic. We have yet to do anything with the Taoist, which now the Taoist is our worst performer. Alrighty, welcome back to another edition of the Hideaways Show, Behind the Curtain. Back at it, never been better, and I'd like to just say out loud, I don't think there's anywhere else you'd rather be than here with us. We got Mike Sebastian, Louisville's finest unique STR investor, and a guy I still quite haven't figured out. I'm still a little torn up from last week with the circumstantial pizza and the food question, but nonetheless, we're here better than ever. Mike, how's it going?
It's good, man. It's good.
Dude.
I'm definitely excited to be here.
Oh, dude, I'm excited for today's topic. It's one we've kind of. I just want to dive in, but I mean, we've kind of talked about it a little bit with the naturalist and the stoic at Rock Haven. But today, I want to break down the numbers. I want to get into the nitty gritty of those projects, what those projects entailed, some of the back end numbers, how we financed it, and how it came to fruition, and just kind of lay it all out. How's that sound?
I absolutely love it. Like a little case study.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
one
good
that
story.
it's incredible, right? How it all started to where it is today, and where I see. I mean, it keeps blowing up every single day. Just gets better and better. More reservations come in. We keep surpassing ADR records with that property. It's wild. I think our highest right now is what? I think someone booked. Did I say for like $1,000 a night?
I was gonna say it was either just under 1,000 or right at 1,000. But
Which
yeah,
is
for two
insane.
bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just I guess let's set the stage. Let's set the table for this. So back in 2023, we acquired three tiny cabins. Those tiny cabins were at time not called Rock Haven Hideouts, but we came up with that name, the Rock Haven Hideouts. They were up against a cliff. That's kind of how the name came about. It was like, oh, they're hideouts. They're up against a cliff. Let's just call them the Rock Haven Hideouts. Great. 420 square foot cabins. They really had nothing else except for the cliff up next to it, right? There was no hot tub, there was no sauna, there was nothing that was really necessarily unique about it, except for the fact that they were cool looking cabins with big windows up against a cliff in the middle of Red River Gorge, right? That
That's
was
pretty
about
much it. I
that
mean,
was
they're
about all
cool.
they
They look good, but they're not unique.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think they
Yeah.
look good, but that only goes so far. And I think we expected that coming in, and we had expectations with these cabins that we were going to do something eventually to them. We just didn't know what, right? We knew
Yep.
we wanted to add a hot tub or some sort of amenities that would attract a higher ADR. And I think in our mind at the time, I think average ADR was about 185. And we're like, if we can
Yep.
get to about a little over 200, these things are a success, right? And
Yep.
so that was kind of our mission. And the properties themselves, they kind of ranged for which ones were the best, which one was the middle of the pack, and which one was the worst. Um, I remember when we acquired these, for whatever reason, we could never explain it, but the Taoist was always the best. They
Yep.
were all the same pictures, relatively same design,
I was gonna
same
say the
layout.
Taoist had that stupid couch.
The Papasan chair,
If
right?
Pop is on chair, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. I couldn't figure it out. But that one was always the best performer, and the Stoic was always the one that just always, for whatever reason, just seemed to lag. Right? There was nothing. There was no reason why it should have lagged, but it just kind of lagged behind.
Yep.
And so the Stoic, we looked at those numbers and we're like, all right, what's this thing doing? And it was doing about 3,100 revenue per month, which
Mhm.
at the time wasn't terrible, but it wasn't
Yep.
anything to
Pay the bills.
yeah, it wasn't anything to talk about on a podcast, right? And October was doing well, 4,800, but still significantly less than the other ones. The Taoist itself was doing on average, not including the peak month of October, was doing 4,200. So,
Yep.
it was about, 1,100 bucks per month less than our best performer
Yeah.
on average. Direct bookings were nothing too special, about 15%. I think most of that was from the email marketing that we were doing, and maybe a few repeat guests, but nothing more than that. And again, like, we realized we want to do more with it. We couldn't figure out a way for that revenue to increase with exception to adding these amenities, right? So you and I, at the time, I remember I was holding a coffee and we were standing on the backside of the Stoic. We brought Martin out and we're like, help us bring this vision to life. And I remember you and I were going back and forth on what we wanted to do with the Stoic. It was,
So we were like shaping out the deck around the boulder, moving the fire pit. Like our ideas were grand ideas, right? They were huge ideas. Nobody had bigger ideas until we heard Martin's idea. And then we realized that our ideas were not grand ideas. Our ideas were piddly ideas.
Well, and I think it's because, we were talking, like we said, we wanted a deck, hot tub, fire pit, right? And it was going to be nothing more than that. It was going to be a nice deck. I think the coolest part about it was we said, let's cut it into the boulder. Ooh, right? Like the deck cut into the boulder, and it was going to have steps off the backside that went into a fire pit that was had a, again, nothing special. Gravel, railroad ties, metal edging, fire pit on the back. Yeah. And a hot tub sitting on that deck. And I remember you and I going back and forth of like what side to put the hot tub, what side to put the fire pit. And Martin goes, "Do you guys mind if I chime in?" And we're just like, "Sure. Yeah. Why not? Give us an idea." And I remember he just points up and he goes, "Why don't we put it up there on top of the boulder that we were talking about carving the deck into?" And I remember us kind of being like, "You can do that?" And he's like,
you don't normally get like that big of an idea from the person that has to construct it. Most of the time they're like, "This doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? It's going to be super expensive. It's going to take a lot of material. We're going to have to share everything up." It's all the negativity comes from the person doing the construction, and the visionary is like us on the ground. And it was exactly the opposite that day.
Right. And it was. And I think the biggest thing was that's a boulder that was 20, 25 feet. I don't know exactly how tall it is, but 20 to 25 feet high in the air. And the biggest question was like, okay, great. How do you get something like that up onto the boulder, right? I think that was the biggest question and outlier with that. And also, what's this thing going to cost, right? Is this going to be hot tub expense plus $5,000? Is this going to be a $65,000 project? I think that was the biggest question mark. And when he talked to us, I can't remember if he gave us the number on the spot or if it was just kind of like a ballpark estimate, but it ended up being $25,000, give or take, and about 6 to 8 weeks of work to complete that. And I think you and I were both kind of just like,
done.
Wow. Okay. And
it wasn't cheap. We had to run the numbers and make sure it was there, but it also that could have been $100,000 project in our eyes because we don't know what it's going to take. Like for me, it's $1 million project because it'd take me $1 million of education minus the 25 that it would have been to build it. Right.
I mean, we're not bolting hot tubs onto the top of boulders every single day, right? And so when he said that number, it's like, that's great. 25,000, 6 to 8 weeks to complete. Then we started at things like, okay, well, what could this thing do now? Because this is completely different than what we thought before. And when we laid it out, I think the biggest thing that we realized was we were probably at about, I think it was probably going to take about 18 months or so to pay back. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit over, but nonetheless, about 18 months. But we had one problem. How in the world we're going to pay for it? Great, 25,000, 6 to 8 weeks. How do you pay? Yeah, and we had no cash at the time. We had a little bit in cash reserves, but it would have paid to maybe get them out there and get started for half the day.
Well, I do want to add that we were like double dipping on risk a little bit. Like we believed in it enough, but we were still in the hard money loan at that point.
Right.
So our goal was not just to add revenue, but it was also to like get it done fast enough that we could prove the business is making money for a refi out of the hard money loan. And the refi was 12 months after the purchase date. Right. So we did all this in a real short time period.
Right. And I think that was one of the things we considered was like, do we go get another private money loan? And it's like, that was going to be super risky because rates are going to be extremely high for something we had no idea if it was going to work or not. I mean, we knew it would increase rates, but didn't know by how much, right? And then the other question was, okay, well, let's explore the cash out. Let's explore a cash out refi on this. But the problem was we were only about 6 or 7 months into the project, and there was no way that was going to work out. And we're paying an
interest-only loans. It's like even the piddly amount that would have gone to principal wasn't going to principal.
Right. And then the other option that we had considered exploring was, friends and family and savings. And I think that was going to take so long where I thought the project would have probably fizzled out from like the excitement of like, let's do it, to get other people on board, right? Like it's family and friends, and they'll be all excited for you initially, but they're like, well, I'm not going to give you 25,000 for something that may or may not work, right? And how do you factor in returns with that? And it was already an investor funded deal. We're just like, you know what? We're just going to scratch that. So let's let's find another way. Let's continue finding another way. And I remember, I think I threw out the idea in one of our weekly calls. I said, what if we went like a 0% interest credit card? And I think most people would think like that's extremely risky, because if it doesn't work, then you have how much money sitting on a credit card once this thing starts accruing interest.
Yep.
How are you going to pay for that, right? And,
and
I remember
it's worth noting that the credit card, it's 0% interest for whatever time period that they give you. But it's like if you go to the next day, then all the interest from the time prior gets added back to that. Right. Yep. So it's not like you pay interest on the one day that you had the loan balance. It's like you pay interest for the whole, would we have 18 months?
Right.
Case?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So I remember we went and asked some people in various Facebook groups and communities, and everyone basically told me, they're like, do not do that. Whatever you do not do that. And what did I do? I said, well, let's apply for some credit cards and see what happens. Right. And I think you applied for one. Our other business partner at the time applied for one, and they came in around like 2,500 or 3,000. Like it was just, It wasn't enough. And it was like, okay, we're going to have to get 10 of these things to fund the project. This ain't going to work. And I was like, you know what? I haven't applied for one. Let me just try. Right. And I applied for a different bank that we hadn't tapped into yet. And I don't know if you want to call it fate, if you want to call it just luck, whatever you want to call it. But I applied for that. And I remember messaging you guys and being like, I applied for a credit card and we got approved. And guess how much we got approved for? $25,000 on the nose for 18 months, 0% interest.
Yep.
And I was just like,
it's exactly what we needed.
It was to a T what we needed. It was like, okay, I think at this point, like we just got to go. We got to move forward. So we talked on it. We decided, we moved forward, got that team working. And I'm looking here, I'm trying to remember build timeline. I did think it took about 7 or 8 weeks. It was right on schedule for what he said. And we started.
A lot of that too is just learning how to do that, because they said they could do it, but they're like, it's going to have complications that we're not sure of yet. And they were going to have to like educate themselves on a couple of things for it. So there was a lot of learning period broken into that timeline.
Right. And so started in April, completed towards the end of May, and we launched it. Right. And we had some photos of it, and it was good enough to show that there was a hot tub, and the hot tub amenity was now checked on Airbnb. So we got a little bit of traction there, but we had iPhone photos, and we're like, okay, we know we need something better. And I think I had been mentioning to us as a group, I'm like, we need someone to come out that does top tier photo and video. And I just kind of been screaming it from the rooftops. I'm like, let's get him out there. We finally got him out there in, what is it? It was about mid-June. Before then, like reservations upticked a little bit, but it was still very much what it was doing before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did we just make a terrible mistake? And I will say, once we got those photos and videos up on social, I'm not saying it was the next day, but within a week, things started to, it started to show that this was worth it. And it was, much attention. I mean, looking at the numbers here, we went from, if you recall, the Stoic average was about 3.1 thousand revenue per month. For the next 6 months, the average revenue at the Stoic went to 6,700 per month, which is 115% increase.
You're reminding me of the Mr. Beast podcast episode or YouTube video, like one of his first ones. Do you ever hear that? He was in high school and he's like, guys, I'm going to be a famous YouTuber because this month I made $1,000, and I don't know if you guys are on the same trajectory, but like, and just kept going. I was like, oh my gosh.
You're referring to me as Mr. Beast. I appreciate that. I'm on the same level as Mr. Beast.
Class half full, Jordan. I love it.
But no, I mean, the numbers just, they proved that this model works. 6,700, 115% increase. October peaked at 7,700, which is a 62% increase from the Stoic's previous high in October. And the best part about it was direct bookings went from 15% to 50%, which is a 233% increase on direct bookings. And at the time, I was like, we're done. It was a grand slam, right? It's like, there's nothing, we could maybe replicate this and maybe do a tad bit better. So we said, why not? Let's try it again. We're 1 for 1. Let's see if we can go 2 for 2.
Well, we had also coined, and I'm going to say you had also coined the worst to first mentality of
Yeah.
that, the flip, because we had taken that worst property, consistently the low performer out of the three, and
Yep.
immediately, as soon as we got those photos, made it the top performer that we had, and it stayed there until what you're about to go through.
Hey guys, real quick, just want to jump in here and say, if this show has been sparking ideas and helping you level up your short-term rental game, we would be so grateful if you drop us a 5-star review. It helps us and this show reach even more people who want to build wealth through unique, unforgettable stays, just like you. So thanks for being a listener. Now, back to the show. It stayed there until we decided. I remember again, like I can't remember why we were on site, but we were looking at the Stoic, and we walked down to the Naturalist, and Martin was with us again, and you had the crazy. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because all that work got destroyed.
yeah. All that work got destroyed because a tree fell through this deck that was just absolutely crushing for us. Thankfully, that team was able to. It took them 10 days maybe to get that thing back up and going.
When they started, it was like 4 or 5 days. They had the whole thing back up and done.
I mean, thankfully, it didn't hit the top deck. It just hit the bottom one. But bottom one reconstructed, built everything back to normal. Yep. And I remember you walking over to the Naturalist, which was the middle cabin, and that cabin quickly became the worst performer of the three, doing relatively similar numbers to the Stoic, a tad bit better. What's it? 3,300 per month is what it was average revenue.
I think that also got some spinoff from the Stoic. I think there were people that saw the Stoic, it was either booked or they couldn't afford it, and they're like, "Oh, there's one next to it, right? So let's just go ahead and stay there, even though it doesn't have a hot tubs, because there was a little bit of a climb there."
Yep. But I think the Naturalist has the most cliff line that's like right next to it, right? It's got the fire pit that's built under the cliff. And I remember you walking over to Martin and you'd be like, I want to put the next one up there. And it's in between. The cliff sits here and there's kind of like a boulder that's at an angle next to the cabin. Yep. And I remember you saying that, and I'm just thinking Martin's going to be like, that's $100,000 project, right? And his words were, all right, you want to build steps up to that? And it's like, yep, we want to do all these things. He goes, I think it'll be less expensive than the last one. To me, that just blew my mind. I was like, there's no way it can be, it's got to be more, right? We got to remove rock. We got to build steps up into this cliff. It just seemed like it was going to be a bigger project. But he's like, I think I can do it for less. And I think I can do it better than the last one. Yeah. And we were like, let's do it. Let's put pen to paper, draw this out, provide it to him, and see how we can go about it. And so we put all that in place. Meanwhile, by that point, we were ready. We had already planned for it with the acquisition of this property that we had to do a refi out of the hard money loan in 12 months. And so we were going down that path. And the initial goal with that was let's just refi out of the hard money into a long-term permanent debt where we're paying principal on it. And we really don't think had any ideas of wanting to take out cash or any cash out during that refi. Correct. Well, we explored that option. Like, let's see if we can pull some cash out of this thing, even if it's enough to pay for the hot tub and this next project, that's a win. And I remember we ran that cash out refi. I don't know if we want to share those numbers, but we got a substantial amount in cash out from that refi. And I think a big chunk of that came from the appraised value went up from the deck and the build up at the Stoic that increased that refi amount. And we pulled that out, and I remember I was just astonished with how much money we pulled out during that refi. And it was enough to pay for the deck and hot tub at the Naturalist, plus some other big projects that we had going on at the time.
Well, plus we were looking at all the different ways that we like all of the ways that the money was going to work for us. So if we pull that out, right, what'll it cost to do that? What do we think we can make on it? And our numbers again were strictly based on the Stoic. They were still aggressive with the Stoic numbers, but they were actual numbers based on what the Stoic did. And I remember looking at it and saying, well, if we take this out and we put half in savings and we put half towards the house and we put something else somewhere else, however it's going to work, like what is it that we're going to make in addition to our existing revenue to make sure that money was actually giving a higher rate of return than what we were doing, just letting it sit in the property. Yep. And it was at our then aggressive, now conservative numbers. It was still doing fantastic work for us.
Well, it just, what was crazy about it was, we had the idea again, laid it out to Martin. He said it'll be less than 25,000, it'll be 21,000 or so this time. It's going to take maybe a tad bit longer, right? Because we were starting around February, so we were kind of dancing around the is the weather going to cooperate game, right? That was our biggest question mark with this next project is it going to rain? Is it going to snow? Is it going to dry up? That allows us to go out and do it. And the build took from February till I think it was early mid-May, right?
Yeah.
To get that done. But once it was done, I remember him texting us the video of it and the stairs that went up that thing. I was like, I mean, it's better than
Those
I thought it was
steps
going
though
to turn
were
out.
strictly your thing because they hadn't started the steps, and you're like, I think we should put these lights on it.
The lights
And
at night just really changed that.
Even during the day, I had our lender on Gorgie went out there the other day, and while she was walking up the steps, I clicked the Govee button on my phone, and it triggered all those lights, and she's like, "Stop it!" I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool."
Yeah,
But that was your just straight up Amazon. Let's see if we could do this, and then they ripped them all apart, and that completely changed that place.
Yeah, the lighting was huge for that. And again, we knew going into that, okay, we gotta come out and do the same thing again. We gotta get the top tier photos and video and push this thing on social, push our email list, push it to the people that say that Stoic, and be like, you like the Stoic, you're gonna like the Naturalist 10 times more, right? Because it was to that level quality. And I was I was so excited for it. I was glad you and I, before that, during that project, we went up in there before we talked to Martin. I remember we climbed up on the rocks and we were talking like, okay, where are we going to put everything? We recorded that content and did before and after. That is some of my favorite before and after content of like, it's just rocks and branches and snakes below us that we didn't even realize were there. And all of a sudden it's just amazing staircase with lights. They anchored string lights into the rock that we didn't even ask them to do. They just, they did it. And
They saw the vision.
Yeah.
I guess it's great.
Yeah. They saw the vision. They saw what they did last time. And it was just astounding.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say the only staircase that I've seen that is better than the staircase we have at the Naturalist is the one on the Titanic, and the Titanic doesn't have a hot tub at the top, so I think ours might be better. I'm just throwing it out there.
I would agree. I'm gonna second that, and we're gonna say the Naturalist over the Titanic. You heard it here first.
100%.
But so the numbers though with the Naturalist, I think, is where it just opened our eyes even more than the Stoic did with what we were doing numbers wise. So looking at this, it still doesn't seem real. Average. Now I'm not talking our peak month, our average monthly revenue for the first 2 months that this was live, June and July, $9,400 per month.
This is like a refresher. This was a 420 square foot, 2-bed, 1-bath, tiny home. And the peak you said on the Stoic was 65 that we had. Is that right?
It was peak was 40. But you mean after the project?
After, yeah.
After it was
average 67 average
6,700.
Yeah. 77 in October. $7,700 gross revenue in October, which is our peak month, and we're getting 94 average. You said June and July?
June and July, and even forecasted for what we had already people booking for August and into September was 9,400 per month. And some of those numbers and we haven't even hit October yet, and our highest amount was July so far at 11,000. It beat Cooper Pines, the 3-story A-frame, which has always just kind of been our top performer out of everyone. And that property is way bigger. But the difference, it doesn't have the unique component that the Naturalist does. And the social attention we got on the Naturalist just blew us away. Like, I mean, we were putting out videos left and right. Shout out to Brandon who shot our content. It was 500,000 views, 750,000 views, 2.6 million, 1.6 million, 1.2 million. But then we started posting the Stoic and the Taoist and all those others on social. It started picking up that trend as well. It started catching that momentum. But I mean, it took the Naturalist to a level. Even our most aggressive numbers weren't even close to what it's doing per month and what it's doing at the peak. And I don't even know what to expect for October. If we're doing 11,000 in July, what are we going to do? 20,000 in October?
We're a reservation in August and September. We're one reservation away, like one more night, and we break 11,000 in both of those as well.
That
And
is insane.
it's insane. Yeah. If you would have like put those numbers down on the performer and said, hey, this is what I want to build and this is what it's going to do, I would have laughed you out of the room. Been like, no, you're not. Nobody can do
Pipe
that. Yeah.
dream.
Yeah. And now we're sitting here doing it. And it's like when we build, like literally when we're going and doing our performance on these other builds, we put these numbers in specifically and then we back them off. Because I'm like, there's not a chance in the world that the underwriter at a bank is going to look at this and believe anything that I'm giving them. Right. And I will say, like, giving these numbers to the bank, they dig real deep. They're like, that's impossible. And it's like, catch me in my line. Right. Let's go through my numbers together. I'd love to show you.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And the best part, so we talked about the Stoic from a direct bookings perspective, 15% up to 50%. And again, that was good, right? Like more direct bookings means more money in our pocket and the guest even gets to save some money on top of it. That's great. The Naturalist took that up to 91% direct bookings. 91%.
That's a legit business where you have the ability to advertise your property and people see it, click on it, go to your website and book it. You have complete control over that ecosystem. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So I mean, we essentially tripled our monthly revenue on the Naturalist. We doubled it at the Stoic. We have yet to do anything with the Taoist, which now the Taoist is our worst performer. I think the challenge is out there. How do we take the Taoist from worst to first and surpass the Naturalist and Stoic? The Naturalist, I will tell you, is going to be a hard one to beat. Like that may just forever be the top dog out there because it is unbelievable. Yeah. But the coolest part about all of this, right, is we found out how to finance it. We utilize equity from the deal to fund the second portion of this project. But as of, today's the 12th. As of August 1st, that $25,000 we put on that 0% interest credit card that everyone told us, do not do, you're crazy, you're insane for doing it. We paid that off in full. Completely paid off. 15
we did it a
months
month early. Yeah.
I was going to say.
We did it earlier than what we actually had just to make sure we didn't run into any hiccups. So, yeah. I'll say too, that was actually, I'm like really proud of how we put that together because we took the next 15 months and then we took the revenue, the seasonality, right? Based on all of the properties that we had. What is the seasonality of this market? And we took the $25,000 balance, 15 months, and ran it through the seasonality that we had and decided to pay equal the 25,000 percentage, right, for that month based on the percentage of seasonality. So in our slow months, the credit card payments were nominal. And in our high months, the credit card payments were higher. And then by, you said 15 months, it's gone.
And I think that was kudos to you. You had taken, let's take a proactive approach from this on, let's plan out how we're going to pay this credit card off. Let's not figure that out later once money starts coming in. Let's start planning how much we need to make, and it was like some months it's like, gosh, it would have been nice to keep some of that in the bank, but it's like, no. Like just stay the course, get to the end, because now we have two projects that took our Stoic, doubled revenue numbers, tripled revenue numbers at the Naturalist, and the project at the Naturalist is paid off. The project at the Stoic is paid off. It's the perfect situation where now it's just additional revenue coming in, and we don't have, next month's gonna be the first month we don't have a monthly payment out to that credit card. And
to give people like just I guess like a preview of that number, like last month's payment was like $3,400. It wasn't a light payment. Like we did an aggressive schedule to make sure we could pay it off early, make sure we did it on time. But the benefit of that is now we have the cash flow that you're talking about, plus the $3,500 credit card payment that doesn't have to go anywhere.
And with all this additional money coming in, and depending on how we want to do it for the Taoist, right? We can figure that out at some point in time of if we have money, in savings that we can use that we don't need to tap in and run the risk with another 0% interest credit card. We do know now, at least that model, it will work and pay for itself. But I'm confident without a doubt that whatever we do at the Taoist, it's going to perform. We're going to be able to pay it off. And if we go 3 for 3 on that, I mean, you're taking 3 properties that I think we're doing between 45 and 60,000 to 3 properties potentially doing anywhere from 75,000 upwards to 100,000, if not more per year.
We'll crowdfund the ideas for the Taoist because we've got a couple of them, but I think there's some good ones out there. I'm gonna make a what is it called? Discount code. I'll make a discount code for anyone listening to this that wants to go to the Taoist and tell us what you think would be the best thing to add. Stay out there for a night, study everything, right? The first thing I want to do is I want to see a big bump in the Taoist just from people studying. And then I want to like actually go through and implement it. And then whoever's idea we choose, we'll just give them like a 3-day pre-stay.
That would be cool.
Yeah. But I'm going to do the Taoist case study.
Okay.
TAOIST case study, all one word, all lowercase. I'm going to set that up as a 25% off discount code for any day in 2025, including October. Anybody that wants to go. Yeah. Come out there and tell us what we should do.
That'll be sweet. I think we could get some wild, crazy ideas from people out there.
When they actually like dream this stuff up, like it's wild what people will come up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
I think I get
interrupted, but I'm gonna.
Well, no, but I think it's a great idea, because if we had stuck with just your idea and my idea, granted, our ideas are good. I want to pat ourselves on the back that we have good ideas. But if it wasn't for, Martin at the time telling us, to put it up there, we may have never gotten to this point of actually realizing we could do stuff like this.
Yep.
So now we're to a point of anyone that does go out there and stays and uses that code, I'd say challenge us, put something together that's wild and crazy, and we'll see if we can, I want to raise the bar on what we did at the Naturalist. Let's do it bigger and better at the Taoist. See if
100%.
we can beat it. So with that, paid off the credit card, everything's paid in full today, which is such an amazing feeling. I think we had some big takeaways with that. And I think the number one thing with this is uniqueness pays. It really does. Like, having something that's nice is cool. Having something unique is game changing for your short-term rental. Something that stands out, that attracts attention, is unlike anything people have seen before. It gets people to book. And I think it's a perfect example of the Naturalist has this unique hot tub, and it's just reservation after reservation. The reservations get bigger, right? I think we had one reservation come in already for the Naturalist for December that surpassed the amount of revenue we did for the entire month of December off multiple reservations. That was one reservation.
Yeah.
And so I think the uniqueness part, it plays, it's proven itself, and we're going to continue doubling down on that across multiple properties.
Yeah.
Another one is, don't be afraid of 0% interest credit cards. Be cautious. Make sure you have a game plan for it, but it can be a vehicle and a tool that you can utilize, if done correctly, to fund these projects. I'm not saying go out there and get a credit card and have no idea for what you're going to build and no idea for how you're going to pay it back. That is dumb. That is stupid. You will fail. I'm just going to come out and say it, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a plan and you have a vision and you can execute on that vision, they can be vehicles to utilize. Timeout. You just going to drink out of the Hideaways cup in front of me?
I think one's in the mail for you.
Okay. I'm excited now. I'm excited. Sorry, I got distracted there. But the 0% interest credit cards, again, can be a vehicle and a tool that you utilize if used correctly, right? Don't be afraid of it. Look into it as an option. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us as well. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have or things that we did with that for that to work out. I'm going to say it again. People are going to be like, here goes Jordan again. He's going down the social and content route. But content and social media was a multiplier for this. Maybe you'll disagree with this. I don't think we do the numbers we're doing at the Naturalist without the attention we were getting from TikTok and Instagram. I really don't. I don't think.
I'll say that the reason that people are here and booking at the rates that they are is because we're reaching a much broader audience than for people that are just looking on Airbnb in this market, right? Mm-hmm. It's a very broad audience, but also we've eliminated all the other competition when they're seeing it. They see this and they say, I want to stay there. Right. So we're seeing people fly in from other states, drive down from 3-4 states away, and come book this because of what's happening on social media specifically.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's if you do it in the right way, right? I'm not saying go out there and take an iPhone and you're going to all of a sudden, fill up your calendar. You have to do it the right way. But I mean, if you can I think we spark emotion in people when people come across us on TikTok and Instagram, they see it and they're like, we get people all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, like, where is this? I think I had a comment the other day. Someone said, is this place even real? Right? Yeah. Quite possibly one of the cooler comments I've ever gotten is like, is this place real? I guess in a world of AI, maybe you do have to question that.
Legit question. Yeah.
It is very much real and it is available to book. So it's cool to see. Also the equity, playing into equity. I don't think this is anything new for anyone, but tapping into equity in your property to pay and fund these projects. I think it's something that people should explore, especially in this environment where rates are going to eventually start coming down. I think being able to do a refi, one, to get a lower rate, but two, don't be afraid to explore if you can pull some cash out of that deal as well to either fund back into that project or fund into another short-term rental property. I think tapping into equity is a smart play. A lot of people realize it. A lot of people, I think, understand it, but are nervous to do it or don't think it works for their situation. I would say look into it. It's been very much worth it for us. And the last one is go all in. You have to be all in on this. If we had just dipped our toe with a Stoic and be like, Martin, we're not going to put it up on the boulder. We're going to play it safe. Everyone else just puts a hot tub on the deck and they put a fire pit out there. We're going to do what everyone else does, right? I think we would have seen success, but not to the level that we needed and were hoping for with the Stoic. So, I mean,
I feel like the going all in, if you've got like two bar graphs, the only bar graph that gets bigger from 0% to about 75, 80% is the expense. Right? Your revenue will not grow. It will stay right here.
Yep.
And then once you cross through that 85, 90, 95% arc and you start to say like, this is scaring the crap out of me and I have no idea why I'm doing it, then all of a sudden your revenue mark, it's like a rubber band, just, all of a sudden you've got this thing that you didn't expect, nobody expected. And now you're putting it out, like you're saying, on the social platforms. And and like literally every day we log in and it's just like, oh, check that out. I love the 10 p.m. text messages that are like, that's a nice one.
Yeah. So. Again, I think every person that's an entrepreneur and starting their business, whether that be in STRs or any space, they always tell you like, you got to go for it. And most of the times when you're going down a path and you feel uncomfortable and you're like, this is a huge risk. Is it going to work? A lot of times those are the biggest breakthroughs, right? Yep. You've taken a huge risk, right. But I will say, do not take a giant risk and be very like conservative, like not going all in. You're just like, I can't stand it when people say like, let's try it out. Let's dabble. I think when people use the word dabble, I'm like, you already lost, right? It's not going to work if you dabble. You got to go all in. If you're going to do it big, do it right, and stand out. And I think you'll be happy you did when you do that. So go all in. Don't just dip a toe. So
100%, man.
With that, the Stoic, the Naturalist, the hot tub story, we'll call this the funding 50K of WOW with 0% interest and equity from our deal. Something like that. We'll come up with a better title. But it's just cool to see that you can take an idea, 3 little tiny cabins, and almost push out 10,000 per month on a cabin that's 420 square foot. You tell most people that, people will just laugh in your face.
They don't believe you. I'll tell you that right now. They do not believe you.
Yeah. So but I'm excited for it. I'm excited to do more of these case studies because we're gonna have more of these properties that come up. We're building some exciting ones. We have some big projects coming down the pipeline here eventually that I think will continue to raise the bar for what we're doing. So let us know if you like this type of episode. It's breaking into the numbers and really going behind the scenes on case studies that we have within our portfolio. So we'd be happy to do more of these into the future. So, and don't forget to use, we'll include that discount code. So after this, let me know what that is.
I already put it up. It's Taoist case study, all one word. Perfect. I did one thing to throw in at the end here, a little bonus for everybody that's still listening. I pulled up the map of our reservations. In Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Michigan, Tennessee, Kentucky, obviously, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, South Dakota, Montana, Las Vegas, Colorado, Texas, Louisiana, California, and Washington.
Wow.
Tell me that the social media reach is not, and that's just this year. That's just 2025.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. So, we're reaching a national audience. Next challenge, let's reach global. I want to see some of those.
There we go.
Those markers overseas coming over to
pull it up and it zooms out even farther. Shows you the whole.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility with some of these bigger projects we have going on. So I think that's I want to accept that challenge and dig into it. So
100%.
But well, cool. That was awesome. Unfortunately, we are not gonna do the Would You Book It segment this week. But that means next week's Would You Book It section is going to be, I already got one queued up, so I'm ready to rock and roll. Spoiler alert, it's not a bus. I did find a bus the other day on Instagram. It was a really cool renovated bus. I almost brought it in to redeem myself.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say you need to.
I'm nervous. So
well,
I got another one though. Yeah, well, yeah, we'll stay away from the buses for now. Maybe someday once I figure it out. But
deal.
Well, cool. Well, dude, that was fun. I'm glad we dove into those numbers. And if anyone has questions, drop a comment, shoot us an email, whatever it may be. You'll see the discount code for the Taoist. I'll put that in the show notes as well, so you guys have that there. Don't have to worry about spelling. But anyways, with that does it. Another fantastic, amazing episode of the Hideaways Show Behind the Curtain. I'm Jordan Holmes. He's Mike Sebastian. Until next time, take care.